Hey guys, welcome back to Prehistoric Life Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, and today we're going to dive right in with another battle in this amazing Jurassic June. Happy Jurassic June to you all. And today we're going to dive right in with the big horn itself versus the Alaskan Rex. Styracosaurus versus nanuqsaurus. 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 I'm losing my mind trying to figure out. I don't think I spelled that right. I did spell it right. Okay. I'm losing my mind over here. All right. So let's dive right in with some basic measurements of Styracosaurus. Coming in at what is going on here? At a whopping 16 to 18 feet long and a whopping 2 to 3 tons. This thing is massive. I don't know if you guys realize this, but this thing's got some weight and size to it. And coming in at a whopping 9 feet tall. Wow. That's to the tip of the horns. So give it a little leeway. But this thing is a massive ceratopsian. I mean, this thing has with the single horn will be very. One of the downfalls of Pachyrhinosaurus whenever it fought nanuqsaurus for our tournament was that it didn't have a piercing weapon, so it couldn't bludgeon nanuqsaurus. But nanuqsaurus was able to rip and tear at Pachyrhinosaurus, while Pachyrhinosaurus was only able to knock around nanuqsaurus. Not saying that nanuqsaurus was always some ultra killer and it always killed Pachyrhinosauri, but I'm just saying, I mean, given the predator-prey relationship, nanuqsaurus is probably better suited for hunting Pachyrhinosaurus considering the area, but still, Styracosaurus having that big old nose piercing weapon itself will be super useful for just stabbing into nanuqsaurus, if that makes sense to anybody. But now we're going to dive in to nanuqsaurus's size. Coming in at about 5.9 feet tall, 1,800 pounds to 1.8 tons, and at a whopping 19.69 feet long. So Styracosaurus actually does have height on nanuqsaurus, but nanuqsaurus, being that smaller theropod, is a bit more maneuverable. And speaking of which, since I couldn't find anything directly going, well, here's nanuqsaurus's bite force. I just kind of had to. I'm basing it kind of on a juvenile T-Rex. So I'm giving it about a 5,641 newtons of force. Not super insane, but it's still crazy good. So nanuqsaurus, is smaller, about half the weight, and doesn't have the best bite force among predators. You know what? I'll give it a 10,000 newtons of bite force. Bite force to break human femur. 17,000 in newtons. Maybe. 4,000 newtons. So this thing can break bone. Yeah, this thing is able to break bone. It is a powerful, bone-breaking tyrant from Alaska. That's all we need to know. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into this fight. But first, take it away, advertisement, Eric. Thanks, Podcast Eric. Now let's talk about today's sponsor, Dinosaur Trips. If you love looking at these amazing creatures that I show you, and even talking about these amazing creatures that I talk about, and you want to go see them in real life, I heavily suggest you look at Dinosaur Trips. Dinosaur Trips, created by Zach, gives you behind-the-scenes in look at museums, and he even takes people out to digs. So if you sound interested in that, go to www.dinosaurtrips.com and tell them that Prehistoric Life sent you, and they will give you $250 off your tickets. And here's their Instagram if you're interested in giving them a follow. Thank you, advertisement Eric. So I'm going to dive right into this battle. Hopefully without knocking everything off this shelf above me. All right, so let's dive right in. So lone styracosaurus gets separated from its herd and finds its way into Alaska and Canada, the Alaskan-Canadian area. Confused, it starts to hear rumbling and crunching on snow, fresh powder in the background. As it turns its head and sees a nanuqsaurus. Nanuqsaurus, not having any cover, roars at styracosaurus. Styracosaurus huffs and puffs and shakes its frills, trying to startle Nanuqsaurus. Nanuqsaurus roars, charging, thinking this is just some weird packy roars. But no, it's about to get a rude awakening. Nanuqsaurus charges in. Snow was thick that day, and it can't quite see all the way all of Styracosaurus. As it charges in, Styracosaurus takes his head and knocks the Nanuqsaurus, and it sends it slamming on its side to the snow. Nanuqsaurus quickly jerks up and gets up, realizes it's up against. Styracosaurus honks and not honks, but snorts at Nanuqsaurus. Just starts rubbing its lips to the ground like a bull getting ready to charge. Nanuqsaurus roars at Styracosaurus. Styracosaurus charges in, about to headbutt Nanuqsaurus. Nanuqsaurus sidesteps, but the frill of the big old sharp frill horns catch Nanuqsaurus in the face, slicing its face open. But versus now behind the frill as it bites at the side of Styracosaurus, ripping at the side. It takes some bone off of the rib cage, but Styracosaurus is able to just use its back leg and just donkey kick Nanuqsaurus, whack, knocking it over or knocking it back. Nanuqsaurus, so Styracosaurus spins around. It takes his head and slams it into Nanuqsaurus again. The side of its head slamming into Nanuqsaurus, knocking it to the ground. Nanuqsaurus getting up as Styracosaurus tramples over it, completely trampling Nanuqsaurus. Nanuqsaurus, hurting, starts to get up. Styracosaurus turns around quickly, whacks Nanuqsaurus in the side of the head, butts the side of Nanuqsaurus, and then with its long horn, pierces through the shoulder of Nanuqsaurus, going in the bottom of the chest near the arm, and then all the way through the back. It then rips out its horn. Puddle of blood forms and slowly melts the snow from the body of Nanuqsaurus. Nanuqsaurus's arm just dangles there. It roars out in pain, but Styracosaurus doesn't care. It takes its horn and whacks Nanuqsaurus, and a bit of it actually catches the bottom jaw, completely cutting open the bottom face jaw. Nanuqsaurus stumbles back. Styracosaurus isn't having it. It takes that big old horn and rams it right into the rib cage of Nanuqsaurus. Whack! Ribs as Nanuqsaurus slams to the floor. Nanuqsaurus is laying in there in a puddle of its own blood from its own shoulder as it starts to get up. Nanuqsaurus roars loudly and intently as it charges in, running straight in as it goes to leap onto the face of Styracosaurus with one mighty blow. Styracosaurus straight through the center of the chest of Nanuqsaurus, piercing its heart all the way through its spine, popping its spinal cord through its spine with its one horn. Nanuqsaurus roars out, coughs up some blood as the blood drips down the horn of styracosaurus, with the lifeless body of nanuqsaurus on that styracosaurus' skull. Styracosaurus wanders back into the snow. All that's left is a puddle of blood for the nanuqsaurus and a trail of its own blood. Okay, so yeah, if you didn't see this coming, that would be like a coyote fighting a bull a little bit. I'm not saying the is like small or anything, but compared to styracosaurus, it's got a few feet less on it, and it has none of the weight. Styracosaurus can ragdoll nanuqsaurus. Actually, it'd be more like a rhino fighting a bull, if anything. Yeah, I mean, the nanuqsaurus had that terrible jaws. It was able to tear at styracosaurus and rip it up a little bit. But in the end, styracosaurus had the tools that it needed to take down a nanuqsaurus, and that is a piercing horn to basically stab it and kill it. I mean, not saying that Pachyrhinosaurus wasn't able to take down the nanuqsaurus, but I'm saying styracosaurus would be able to do it more efficiently, in my opinion. But, yep, this has been Prehistoric Life Podcast. Remember, go follow me on Instagram for additional content. I'm trying to post more on there. And please go vote in the Jurassic Legacy thing. If you do want to see that, please tell me, let me know so I know to record that kind of stuff. But go follow me on Instagram for additional content. I try to post my YouTube content 2-ish days earlier than my usual kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you want to see it 2-ish days earlier, go check out my YouTube channel. And if you want all of that in one place, go check out my website, prehistoriclifepodcast.com. From there, you can get to my YouTube and my Instagram. And I hope you all have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whenever you're watching this. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, signing off. This has been Prehistoric Podcast. And remember, keep it prehistoric. Bye.